oh, excuse me. Workplace and Apprenticeship 27.3. This is the final section of the entire course. So this is exciting. This is great. This is our last few days of the semester, and we are taking a look at 7.3 today. Right? We did 7.2 yesterday. Right? Remember? You don't remember? We did 7.2 yesterday. 7.3 is what's on the dock for today. Okay. So 7.3, we're talking about budgets. Today is adjusting a budget. So we're going to talk about two kind of newish things, including the circle graphs or the pie charts from before. That's right. We're going to make a pie chart to represent our budget, because it's always nice to have a visual for things like this. All right. So people often find that once they create a budget, either they cannot stay on it or their situation changes and they need to make adjustments. So this happens a lot, okay? If you budget to spend only a certain amount per month on something, and you just find that, you know what, you can't stay under that. For whatever reason, there's things that you didn't take into consideration when you made your budget, and you end up spending more than that all the time, and it's a frustration. Well, you might need to up that part of your budget a bit and then maybe decrease something else just so you can stay on track, okay? Now, again, there are people that don't have budgets, and they just kind of like hope and pray every month that they have some money left over and that they don't, have... they owe somebody something or can't buy groceries the last week of the month. And that happens. So this is the very reason why we're studying budgets, okay? All right, so I'm going to skip over this example, and we're going to go right to some questions that talk about these sort of concepts. So let's take a look at example 2, or question number 2. This is page 356, so turn there in your workbooks, please. And number 2 says this: Juliet's monthly entertainment expenses are $275 and account for 12% of her income. Okay, so let's understand that this $275 is 12% of her total income. So she has 100% income, and then she has 12% of that, and that is $275. She would like to reduce her entertainment spending to 8% of her income. So calculate her new monthly entertainment budget. Okay. All right. Well, there's a couple different ways you could do this. I would suggest making up a simple proportion. So let's do this. Let's say that we have 275 on top of our ratio, and we have 12% on the bottom. So $275 is 12%. So they go together. We're going to make an equation out of this where we have an X amount of dollars. I don't know what this amount of dollars is for 8%. See that? So we're going to make a simple proportion. And to me, I think this is probably, probably the best way to do this. So if you make a simple proportion, now all we have to do is solve for X, which means we multiply both sides by 8%, right? That will get rid of the 8's on the right side, and we will have X dollars here equals, and then what is all this? Well, that's 8 times 275 divided by 12. And that's how you solve for X. So let's do that. 8 times 275 divided by 12. 183.33. So does that seem logical? Okay, so if 275 was 12%, 183.33 is 8%. That seems very logical to me. That seems like a good answer there. Okay, so her monthly, so this is her new monthly entertainment budget. Does everyone see that? $183.33. You guys okay with that? A simple proportion. Yeah, question?
So why wouldn't they put the percentages into decimals?
You could. Okay, the question was, why don't you put percentages in decimals? You totally could. So let me just take a quick, watch this. If you did that, 275 divided by 0.12. If you did that, okay, then over here on this side, you would have to do the decimal for this as well. And you know what? When you multiply both sides by 0.08, then you get the exact same number. Yeah, it's the exact same number. So you still get 183.33, but that's a good question, and yes, you can always use the decimals, as long as you use the decimals for both percent, right? Okay, good. Any other questions? Okay, the reason why I chose this one to start with is because this B right here, this is very important. You're going to have to know how to do this. And it's not that hard once you kind of do it once here, I don't think. So let's just take a peek here. So calculate Juliet's total monthly income. Okay. So let's go back to the original, like sort of the original situation. You can use the new situation where 8% is 183, or you can do the 12% is 275. Doesn't matter. But watch this. This is the way I think of this, okay? Her total income, let's say that's TI, total income, in order to find out what 12% of her total income is, and we know it's 275, we would have to multiply total income times the decimal form of the percent. Does everyone see that? That this is how we find 12% of her total income? That's how we would do it. And we know that that equals $275, right? So if we wanted to find the total income, guess what? We just divide by 0.12. And that will get us the total income. So we get on our calculators and we'll just clear that up. And so we'll go 275 divided by 0.012. So again, if we multiply, we are finding 12% of that total. If we divide, we're finding the total, treating that as the 12%. So if we divide, we get a bigger number. You see that? We get a bigger number. Now, 1.2%, that doesn't look right. 0.12, sorry, I added a zero. Let me try that again. Divided by 0.12, not 0.012. Okay, 2291.66. My bad. So does everyone see that? This is the total income if 275 is 12%. So that was 2291.67. Okay. Now another way to do that, because we've been doing things a couple ways. This is how you could think of it. But the other way to do it is this. You could certainly go 275 is 12%. So how much money is 100%? That you could do it just like we did the first question. You see? Set up a simple proportion. So when you do that, it's like this. 100 times 275 divided by 12. And let's just double check that to make sure we get the right answer. 275 times 100 divided by 12 equals, look at that, same number. So there's two different ways of doing that question, okay? Proportion, or just thinking about the equation. Any questions about number 2? Okay, so example number 2, which again we're not going to spend a lot of time on here right now, but example number 2 talks about this right here, spending guidelines. Okay, spending guidelines. So you can look up online, or you can talk to people that have a budget, and you can ask them, hey, how much should I plan to spend on this category in my budget? And they would be able to give you some numbers. And you know what? You could look this up online. This is sort of typical. And of course, as we talked about the other day, if you are a person of faith or if you give to a charity, you might want to include that in there and adjust the percentages accordingly. So this might not be everything that you plan to spend your money on, but these are some good guidelines. So housing is usually the biggest, right? And then utilities, food, transportation, entertainment, savings, other. This could be the other could be your tithe, or you're giving to charity regularly, or whatever it is that you do there. And so they're all about the same. And then clothing should be a little bit less than everything else, right? Or if you're like me, I buy clothes like once a year, not once a month. So my budget's pretty low for clothes. Anyways, but I'm not growing out of my clothes anymore, except maybe right about here. Maybe they get a little tight right here. But you guys, some of you are still growing, so, right? You wear out clothes pretty quick. All right. So let's take a look. We'll just kind of skip by this example a bit here. Oh, look at this, pie charts. So we're going to practice making a pie chart here pretty soon. Okay, so here is number 3. Let's take a look at number 3. This is on page 359. And here we're going to adjust a budget, and we are going to do a pie chart as well. So we're gonna do those two things here for this this question. So number 3, Petra has created the following monthly budget. All right. So this is her regular income, $1,400. Her expenses are listed on the side here. Now, we don't have to do any work here on adding these up because they've already added up the expenses for us. Now, the problem, we see a problem here, don't we? The problem is that right now she's spending more than she's making. So remember, that's not a surplus. That's called a deficit. Okay, you see this word deficit? We learned that the other day. So if you aren't making as much as you're spending, your budget is in deficit. Okay? So suggest how she can adjust her spending to create a balanced budget. Now the balanced budget is going to mean that this $1,500 has to turn into $1,400. See that? We don't want 15, we want 14. So we have to subtract $100 from here somewhere. So there are many different ways that she could trim her budget. I would not suggest taking the $100 off just one thing. And of course you have to consider that some things cannot be adjusted, like the rent, right? You can't just say, hey, I'm going to pay less this month because I'm spending too much on other stuff. That's not the way it works. So we can't touch this one. Utilities, phone, cable, internet. If that's a regular payment, we probably can't touch that one either. Food, this is one where we could probably trim. What are some other things that you personally now, which other categories here do you think you would be able to trim some money off of? What do you think? What would you suggest? Clothing, okay. So spending $100 on clothing, okay, we might be able to trim some money there. Again, we don't want to take the $100 off of one category, but maybe a few things, a little bit off of a few categories. Okay, so savings, should we quit saving money if we're in a deficit? No. You guys are all nodding. No. Not yes, it's no. You should save some money. Yes, you should save money every month. Okay? Because remember, we talked about this yesterday, right? You don't know when you're going to all of a sudden need some money for something, some emergency, right? You talked a couple weeks ago about your car, right? That happens. If you got a car, if you got a job, you need to buy something for your job, or your car breaks down. So that's why you save, so you have some emergency money. So we don't want to trim on our savings if at all possible. Okay. All right. So what do you guys say? Could we take off entertainment? We could probably shave some entertainment. Why don't we do this? Why don't we take $20 from here, entertainment. Let's bump that down to $30. Okay. Clothing, we could probably take, what do you think? Take 75 off of there? Maybe, yeah, that's okay. So 75, we could take 75 off there, and this month we're only going to be able to spend buy one t-shirt or something, right? Or one shoe. Who needs a t-shirt, right? Miscellaneous, maybe we could take $5 off the miscellaneous, right? Because we need 5 more. So this is 95. All right. So that's $100, right? 20 and 75 and 5. So there we go. This would be a suggestion for an altered or a new budget. Does everyone understand that? Okay. Now you may have shaved some money off of a budget somewhere else, but that would be your answer to A, and you would be responsible for kind of writing that and explaining that. Okay. All right. So construct a circle graph that shows Petra's new budget. All right. So this is where we have to bring in our new money, so the income and expenses, and I'm just going to clip this so we can actually see this, income, expenses. Let's take a picture of this and bring her down there. Okay. All right. So if you guys remember, what we have to do is we have to find percentages first. Remember that? So find percentages first, and then we will turn those percentages into degrees in a circle. You guys remember that? Pie charts? You remember? Hello? You remember? Okay. So we need to find percentages first. So 550 we didn't touch. So rent. Let's make a list up here. So rent. Let's take a look at that one first. So that's 550 out of what? What's the total expenses that we have? 1,400. Not 1,000, but 1,400. So that's going to be out of 1,400. And then obviously we have to times 100% there, right? So let's do that. 550 divided by 1400 times 100% is going to be 39. So let's round this to the nearest degree, maybe. Okay, so that's going to be 39 degrees. All right, sorry, that's 39%. Okay. Okay, so utilities, phone and cable. You guys see what we're doing here? Okay, I'm going to get you guys started. You guys got to do the rest here, okay? So 175 divided by 1400 equals times 100. Round to the nearest percent. Oh, that's going to be a tough one. Let's go 13% on that one. Okay? All right, so your job now is, we've done the first two. So do you guys do the rest of these? And I want you to come up with percents for each of those, and go ahead and just get some practice on that in your own. Yes, okay, so a full circle is 360 degrees. So when you have your percents, now that you have your percents, what you want to do is you want to take the decimal form of that percent and multiply it by 360 degrees, okay? Because that's going to give us the angle measure of the degrees. So for example, right, what do we have up there? Okay, 39%. So 39%. So how big should that piece of the pie chart be? You go 360 times 0.39. Okay? 360 times 0.39, which is what? 140.4. So we'll round to the nearest degree, so that's going to be 140 degrees. Okay? So some of you have not finished your percents. I'm not going to unfreeze the screen until you're done that, so keep working. But now you know how to change those into degrees, and then from there I'll go over again how to draw that on your, make that on your pie chart. Okay? So turn all those percents now into degrees in a circle. All right, so hopefully you guys you've all had a chance to convert the dollars to percent of the expenses, and then that percent now times 360 should give you the degrees. Okay, so I've got a list of here of the degrees, and for each category. Okay, now I have a bit of a problem, or you may have a bit of a problem too, where all of these angles, I added these up, they equal 359. Now when we round to the nearest degree, sometimes you're going to get 359 degrees when you add them all up instead of 360, or 361 if you round too many of them up, you know what I mean? So I wouldn't be alarmed with that, especially if it's 359. I'm okay. You could double check to make sure you round it properly, but probably what's happened is that all of them are legitimately closer to these numbers on the lower end, and we've just underestimated a bit. So what I'm saying is that it's okay if it adds up to 359. That's actually okay. The thickness of your pencil will account for 1%, honestly. So I wouldn't worry about it if it doesn't add up to 360. If it's one off, you're okay. If it's more than one off, you're not okay. Okay, usually we'll have to double check that. Okay, so now what do? Here's our circle, and we have our percentages here now. And we have our degrees. So 140 degrees. So what you're going to want to do, you're going to get your protractors out now that I gave you, and you're going to want to, as carefully as you can, very, very carefully, make a dot right in the center of your circle. You need to have the center of your circle. We need to start with that. Okay? Then what you're going to do is you're going to make a straight line from the center of your circle. Wow. That's unfortunate. That's really thick. From the center of your circle, okay, let's do that. Let's do a pen. From the center of your circle to the edge. So we're going to make a bit of a radius here, right? Okay, so we'll see if we can get this going. All right. Doesn't have to be flat, but it might be nice to start with a horizontal line. But again, it doesn't have to be. So you're going to, with your ruler or your protractor straight edge. Everybody done that? Okay, center, do a radius. Now, with your protractor, what you're going to want to do is you're going to lay your protractor down on the circle, and again, I'm not sure exactly what your protractor is going to look like, or how big it's going to be. That's really bad, protractor. But you're going to line it up so that the center is right at the little crosshairs there, and this line that you drew is exactly at 0 degrees along with your protractor there. Okay? So line that up just like that, and again, it's a very poorly hand-drawn protractor. But what you're going to see from the protractor is all these degrees, right? So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and so on. So you want to go over to 140. So 140 is going to be somewhere over here. So from this line, 140 is going to be all the way around past 90, all right, to right about there. And what you're going to do is you're going to draw another line. Actually, let's make this orange just like the other one is. You're going to draw another line from here through the 140, you see that, to the edge of the circle. So let's see if I can get that right about there. Okay. So yours is going to be a little bit easier for you to do because you don't have this silly computer and tablet deal. Okay, that's not bad. So does everyone see that? So you want to lay that down and measure 140 degrees. And then when you get rid of your protractor, you lift your protractor up, then this is what you have, and you have this section right here is rent. Okay? That section is rent, and it's going to be 39%. Let's put the percentages, okay? Because in pie charts, circle graphs, whatever you want to call them, they usually have the percent labeled there somewhere, okay? So 39%. Now, does that seem reasonable? Is that like just a little bit less than half, right? Here would be exactly 50%, right, of the circle. So that looks about 39. Yeah, that's about 11% off of half. You see that? So that's reasonable. Okay. And so now what you would do is the same thing with 47. So let's see if I can make a better protractor. And you might want to, you have to turn your protractor upside down or move your paper around a little bit. Okay, and then so you line it up with, it doesn't matter which edge or which line, so I'm going to line up with our original line again. And I'm actually going to go now 47. So here we want to go to, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So 47 would be right about here. And you want to make another line. Nope, not going to do that. Let's do an orange. So I'm going to do it freehand. You're going to make another line through 47 degrees exactly, and then there you go. Now you have your third section. Everyone see that? Oh, this is hard to do on the computer. All right, so now we have, what's this one? Utilities. All right, you put utilities there. And that's going to be 13%. You want to put your percents. Okay? So, as best you can with your pencil, just in case you make a mistake, and your protractor, I want you to put all of these sections onto your circle graph, okay? So you go ahead and do that. So where you guys should be at, I guess, is something around here. Now, I just was doing this by hand. I haven't finished labeling it yet either. But you'd want to label your categories somewhere maybe outside the pie chart there, because there might not be a lot of room. And so your pie chart might look something like this. Hopefully yours looks a little bit better with your ruler and such. I did mention that that I found a little tool here, onlinecharttool.com. You can make your own pie chart. It'll look all professional and everything. So that's something you can maybe look into. And I just kind of started one here. I'll finish it and let you guys know what it looks like. But you can also do this online. You do need to know how to do this by hand. That is converting the money to percents and the percents to degrees, and able to make your own pie chart for this course. So you will have to do that anyways. All right. So where are we at? Okay. All right, we have a little ways to go here in this last lesson, so let's do question number 4 together, and I think we might be in a spot where you guys can do some of your own practice. But let's do number 4 together. That's sort of our last example, I think, for the day today. So Sammy earns about $1,500 per month, and has the following expenses. So here is a list of his expenses. He's found the following spending guidelines for people living in his area. So remember we talked earlier about spending guidelines. It's a suggestion for percentages. How does his spending compare to the guidelines? In what categories does he need to adjust his spending? So I guess what we need to do is convert each of these to a percent. Okay? And how we do that is we first of all find the total, and then we do that division, right? Okay? So let's go ahead and start this. Let's figure out what the total is here. So you guys can get on your calculators as well and make sure this is looking good. 400 plus 225 plus 350 plus 250 plus 25 plus 50 plus 200. Okay, so did I miss anything there? 1,500 bucks. Okay, everybody else get 1,500 bucks? Anybody else type that in there? 1,500. All right, so that's the total. This is going to be the total. And now in order to find out what housing actually is, let's do, again, 400 divided by 1,500 times 100%. So let's figure that out. 400 divided by 1,500. So we move that decimal place over twice to multiply it by 100, so that's 26.7%. So let's go to a decimal place here, 26.7%. Okay, and then we'll find out the rest, and we won't need to show our work for the rest. So, so take a moment there and find out the percentages. Okay, you guys help me out here. Find out the percentages for each of these categories. Just should look something like this. And I guess the what you want to take a look at is how does the spending, how does Sammy's spending compare with the guidelines? So I've calculated the percentages up here, and let's just put the percentages beside each category. So I've got 27% here. So is that within the range? Yeah, that looks really good. Okay, so that's right in the range that is suggested. Food is 15%. Okay, and that is well within, that's right in the middle of the range that's suggested. Transportation. Okay, here's where we've run into our first problem. Sammy spends more than the recommended value on transportation. So this one is one where we might have to come down. Okay, I'll put a little down arrow there. What about entertainment? 17%. Oh, he's a little bit high on entertainment there too. So that one's got to come down as well. Charitable donations, he's at 2%. That's barely okay. Okay, that's all right. That's within range. Savings, oh, he's saving 3%. That's going to have to come up. Okay, and other. So other right now is 13%. That's a bit high too. So that's going to have to come down. Okay, so how does his spending compare? In what categories does he need to adjust his spending? Well, we can write that down here for B. Transportation has to come down, as well as entertainment has to come down. So let's just make that on the list. And other has to come down, right? And then he should be saving more. So savings should go up. Right? So that's kind of how we can compare with published guidelines. And if he does not make any changes to spending, how much money will he save in a year? If Sammy does not make any changes to his spending, how much money will he save in 1 year? Okay, so he's saving 13%, so $50, right? 3%. He's saving $50, so 50 times 12 is going to be 600 bucks, right? So he's going to be saving 600 bucks a year. All right, so that's sort of your final question there that I'm going to go over with you. Like I say, there's along with this another pie chart, so you know how to do the pie charts. All right, so there isn't much left for me to teach you here. And so your practice, here's your practice starts on 363, and this will be your assignment. You get the rest of the class to work on this. I may give you some class time tomorrow, okay? So by the end of the day tomorrow, you should have your 7.1, 2, and 3, all the practice problems from each of those sections ready to be handed in by the end of the day tomorrow. Okay? So go ahead and get started, see if you can do number 1 before the end of class here.